Excuse me, can you help me with something? So, continuing our discussion of desert rags, now I want to focus on what's known as the empty quarter. Empty quarter. So, continuing our discussion of desert rags, now I want to focus on what's known as the empty quarter. The empty quarter is a huge area of sand that covers about a quarter of the Arabian Peninsula. Today is very extremely hot, but there have been times past monsoon rain soaked the young people and turned it from a desert into a grassland that was dotted with lakes and home to various animals. There were actually two periods of rain and lake formation. The first one began about 37 years ago, and the second one dates from about 10,000 years ago. Excuse me, Professor, but I'm confused. Why would lakes form in the desert? It's just sand after all. Good question. We know from modern days that lakes, like Lake Eyre and South Australia, that under the right conditions, the lakes do form in the desert. But the input lake disappeared thousands of years ago. They left behind their belts or basins as a limestone formation that we can still see today. They look like low-lying white or gray long fractals, very a meter high. The recent study of some of the formation presents some new theories about the area's past. Keep in mind, though, this study only looked at 19 formations, and about 1,000 have been documented, so there's a lot more work to be done. According to this study, two factors were important for lake formation in the empty quarters. First, the rains that fell there were torrential, so it would have been possible for all of the water to soak into the ground. Second, as you know, sand dunes contain other types of particle besides sand, including clay and silt. Now, when the rain fell, water ran down the sides of the dunes, carrying clay and silt particles with it, and wherever these particles settled, so they formed a pan. Area that water cannot penetrate. When this pan formed, further runoff corrected and formed a lake. Now, the older lakes about how the formation, the ones studied forming 35,000 years ago, the limestone formation we see, they are up to kilometer long, but only a few meters wide. And they're scattered along the desert floor and varies between the dunes, so the theory is in the side, right around the desert forming their long narrow valleys. And we know because of Dune, what we know about the similar ancient desert lakes, we know that the lakes didn't last very long, from a few months to a few years on average. As for the more recent lakes, the ones from 10,000 years ago, well, they seem to have been smaller and so may dried up more quickly. Another difference very important today for distinguishing between older lake beds and newer ones is the location of the limestone formations. The more recent beds are high up in the dunes. Why these differences? Well, there are some ideas about that, and they have to do with the shapes of the sand dunes when the lakes were formed 37,000 years ago. The dunes were probably naturally rounded at the top, so the water just ran right down the side to the desert floor. But there were thousands of years of wind between the two rainy periods, reshaping the dunes. So during the second rainy period, the dunes were kind of chopped off the top full of hollows and ridges, and these hollows would capture the rain right there in the cap. Now, in the grass and lake ecosystem, wild exhibits find from the variety of animals, and numerous fossils have been found at least at these particular sites. But where did these animals come from? Well, the theory that has been suggested is that they migrated in from nearby habitat where they are already living. Then, as the lake dries up, they died out. This study makes a couple of interesting points about the fossils, of which I hope we will look at in the future study. At all the lake sites, their fossil remains from hippopotamus, waterfowls, animals that spend much of their lives standing in water, and also for several cattle. However, the size of the more recent lakes there are only cattle fossils. Additional evidence for geologists that these lakes were probably smaller, shallower, because cattle only use water for drinking, and so they survive on much less. Interestingly, there are common snail shells but no fossil fish. We are not sure why. Maybe there is a problem with the water. Maybe it was too salty. That's silent true of the dead tracks.